about films and about you. You're down there in the audience, along with thousands of other people who attend film shows like this one.
This is the sort of thing that can happen. But it won't happen to your child if these simple precautions are taken. All hot liquids placed well out of reach of curious little hands. And open fires are another danger spot. But not if they're covered by a heavy screen.
Well, that's one kind of film. Here's another. Here's another. Here's another.
I couldn't help thinking about a new kitchen, the one I'd been promising myself for years. By that time, I had my mind set on that new electric stove. I thought a combination wood and electric would be best. A little extra fire makes the kitchen so comfortable in winter. Thought I might have a cupboard for pots and pans. Maybe above a wood box that the kids could fill from the woodshed. From then on, I couldn't think about anything else.
The brown Norway rat is most common in Canada. It is the largest, most ferocious of rats. A filthy, ravenous, flea-bitten glutton. Some towns are using a fill-in procedure, filling in the dumps, planting grass and trees where once there were cans and rubbish. Communities must get rid of dumps and rat-infested buildings if they are to be rid of the rat.
Come on, everybody down, everybody down. Come on! Let's swing them around, don't turn them around, and promenade around, and promenade all the way.
Say, these movies are great. Why don't we use them on our programs more often?
Well idea, Barney, but who's going to put up the dough more often? To hire a projector and a man to run it.
Hey, brother, putting on a show like this is no cinch if you always have to send away for films. You're never quite sure of what you're getting or whether they'll arrive in time.
Well, if we could build our own stock of films right here in town. Anyway, we could try to do something about it.
Sure, why not? But you don't have to do it all by yourselves.
We don't?
No, because look, there are all these other people in your community who are interested in using films. And most of them belong to clubs and organizations which like to use films on their programs. Films on practical things, what's to be done, and sometimes how to do it. Films discussing the great issues of the day, and films just for relaxation. You see, there's quite a number of these groups, the labor organizations, the radio forums, the Recreation Association, the adult education groups, and all the others.
And us.
And you, of course. Now, what usually happens is that your group, along with each of the others, sends a delegate and they form a film council. Many of these councils represent not only their immediate community, but a whole area. And here we are, just in time for the last of the introduction.
Fort Kirkpatrick Recreation Association.
Catherine Cranston Public Library.
Dorothy Day, YWCA.
Arnold Houtrick, representing Home and School Association.
There, you see? Your group elected you as the Film Council representative because they know you're interested.
Splendid. Now that everybody knows who's who, I think we can get down to business.
When we get the films, where are we going to keep them? This is the first problem.
Hey, what about the fire hall?
Yes, the fire hall's open 24 hours a day.
Except when these chaps have to answer an alarm.
What about the public library?
Well, yes, but we just don't have enough staff to look after films as well as everything else.
Maybe we can find ways to help the library. Help them get reels of film on the shelves as well as books.
Well, we haven't had much experience in these things, but we are fortunate tonight in having the National Film Board field man with us, and I think that he can help us start a film library.
I think there's a lot in what this gentleman has to say. Your library is going to need every bit of support that this film council can give it. The films are to be added to its other services. Then, when you get your film library started, I'll be around to help you and to see that you get a selection of films on loan from the film board.
In some places, a number of libraries club together and share the prints which they have purchased or which have been loaned to them. In addition, they buy prints of the more popular films for their own library. With the help of the Film Council, they select those films which are of greatest interest and value to the community. When a borrower comes along, the librarian is able to give advice in choosing the right film and in planning a program. If a certain film is not in stock, she'll help to get it from one of the larger central libraries. Yes, your library can have prints on loan not only from the Film Board, but also from provincial governments, from the National Film Society, and from private companies. You should see that your library has a catalog of the films available on each of the various specialized subjects. You're going to need a pair of rewinds and a splicer in order to inspect your film and keep it in good repair. Then the other thing you must have is at least one projector. As a matter of fact, this is your Film Council's most expensive item. Where does the money come from? Well, here we have a number of adjacent communities pooling their resources to buy a machine, which they then use cooperatively. Perhaps your own council decides to collect a few dollars for this purpose from each of its member societies. They can afford it. Ever try to run a projector? First, be sure the gate is clean, or the screen will be fuzzy around the edges. Get everything set up, checked, and running smoothly at least half an hour before the show. Filmed, threaded, and focused. And don't forget to check the volume of sound. A special committee of the Film Council looks after the training of at least one projectionist from each of the member organizations. So now we should be ready for any film show that comes along. Let's look at some examples. Here's a group of farmers. They've heard that a certain film called Just Weeds explains the latest thing in weed control. They haven't come here just to be entertained. They'll consider the film a good one if it throws new light on their weed control problems. So it's on with the show. Weeds growing on the headlands, weeds in the gullies, weeds along the roadside. Everybody's problem, nobody's problem. Collective effort is required to bring these weeds under control. After the show, they discuss what they've seen. Some are uncertain, others have made up their minds.
I agree with Bert that we get the backing of all the people, that we purchase a power sprayer, and that we go after this problem.
I second that.
All those in favor? The motion was carried. And we did go after the problem. When we had talked it over some more.
Oh, let the government buy the doggone sprayers.
No, it's up to us to get our own.
And so it went. One thing about that film, it certainly stirred up everybody's interest. Everybody knew that a power sprayer was what we needed. Everybody, that is, except for old Ben. He took a lot of persuading. Bert and Elmer must have worked on him for hours. But it was worth it. He finally saw the light and put his name on the list, too. Let's see. Yes, it looks like we have everybody now. So then 3 of us went to town and did some shopping. It's the kind of sprayer that can be attached to a tractor. Just watch those weeds curl up and die. Everybody should see that Just Weeds film.
Another film show, just finishing. This one has dealt with industrial safety.
This place could be a lot safer. What do you think, George?
That film certainly makes you think.
Yes, could be my turn for an accident next.
Did the foreman see this movie?
Well, let's see if we can do something. That machine is a menace to everyone who walks past it.
And that elevator door, it's never closed.
Somebody could get badly hurt.
Let's set up a safety committee.
quite an interesting film.
It wasn't only an interesting film. It was one that made me think about our place. I began to see it in a new light. There was no use pretending. The backyard was filthy. Something had to be done. A cleanup campaign could start right here as far as I was concerned. I'll just slick up a bit. Nobody's around this early. But the neighbors must have seen that film, too. Mr. Adams was finally starting to paint that hideous old porch, and the Whipples were planting a few trees. The next thing I heard was that a lot of them had gone to work on the old schoolyard. Our Johnny said,
Hey, this is going to be my favorite subject.
Then that Saturday afternoon, I got Tom and his father and the children, and we really did a job on our place. It was about time. But the important thing about all this cleanup activity was that it finally got us started fixing up the old McPherson place as a community center. And it all started by showing a film.
You mean you got results like that by showing a film alone? Then there's just one more thing you need to know. Look, if you take the trouble to follow up after the film, say with a discussion panel, then your results are going to be much more certain. Well, hello! It's that man again. He's about to show a film in advance to these members of a discussion panel. Let's see how he's going to handle this.
You have been invited by the Film Council to come here and see the film in advance so that you may get to know it well. Now, I know you are all experts on this subject, but don't forget, we have to be experts also if we want to get the audience involved in the discussion. Now, the film will start the ball rolling, and you take it from there. Lights? How's your Film Council coming along?